All right, class. So my name is Amanda McCara, and I am your instructor for this fall's Introduction to Digital Animation class, also known as AVC 184. It says Art 184 here. I will have to change that in a moment. But I wanted to do a little bit of a navigation through Canvas here and show you guys how to access the announcements, the modules, how I will be posting the class, and then we'll slightly go through the syllabus. I'm sure you've gone through several of them this semester, but we are going to do just a brief overview of the syllabus as well. So I normally will, how the class works is you will watch lectures online through either YouTube. I post on YouTube and then I'll link it inside of Canvas for you guys. But you'll watch the lecture and then you will complete the project and then you submit the project in, and then I do what is called a critique on your work, and I give you I'll give you feedback, constructive feedback on the changes I would like to see, and then eventually what we do is we have a revision round where we implement those changes that I give you to the work. We'll have maybe one or two revision rounds. And then at the end of the semester, you'll have a handful of work that you'll put together in a portfolio. And that portfolio is basically your, it's like your display of work that you have when you go to find a job or put in an application somewhere. So, we want to definitely prepare you guys for either moving forward into a bachelor's degree or moving forward into work. But we want to give you the basics. In this class, we're going to talk about the basics of digital animation, what is animation, different software that we're going to be using, so on and so forth. So the first thing that you're going to see here, again, it says it used to be an art class. They've changed it to audio video type class. So the name changed, the code name changed here, but it's still the same class. And the first thing that you're going to see here is the home page when you open up your Canvas. And on this home page, you're going to see the first paragraph is about if your computer will work within this class. Now, we want to see your computers functioning on a discrete GPU, preferably NVIDIA or AMD type of GPU versus an integrated GPU. Now, an integrated GPU is one that is, they just don't work as efficiently. It's great for small things, but when you're working with video and animation, it's not heavy enough it doesn't have enough computing power in order to run the software that we're going to be working on. It might run it okay, but it will eventually have issues down the line with rendering. I don't expect you to know what that term means, but it will, become a problem for you. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to look up, how do I determine what my GPU is in my computer, and it'll show you how to access that. And then different options. If you have an NVIDIA GPU or any kind of a discrete GPU inside of your computer, then you're good to go. No need to check out a computer or anything from the school. But if you're running on an Intel integrated GPU, or sometimes MacBooks have issues, or iMacs as well, will have an issue running 3D software or rendering for 3D software. Less of an issue sometimes, but it still has, I've still seen problems arise within within my work in the past with that. Now, if you guys have already purchased a computer for other things, that's fine. You can check a computer out from the school. All you have to do is follow option 1 here, and you'll want to do that as soon as possible. It is free for students, so that's not it's you don't have to, it's no cost to you, and all you have to do is return it at the end of the semester. Other option is to purchase a new computer if you don't have a computer, or if you're waiting on, if you were waiting on this course or your program or your classes to see what would be the best option for you if you purchase it. So you could do that for option 2. Option 3 is to use the computers within the HT1 building, room 135. They're specifically built for these animation courses. It can be a last resort for you, but as long as it isn't full, you can complete your work in that room. If Casey or Brian are in that room, other 2 instructors who teach animation class, you could possibly sit in a corner or something and work quietly while other people are doing their work in different classes. But that is kind of a last minute option for those of you who might not be able to rent one or purchase a new computer. General idea is if it can run newer games, then you're all set to go. You'll be fine. As far as how this class is ran, it is an online only class, so there is no in-person meetings. And we still are required to take attendance. And so how I do attendance is through participation questions. Now those can be submitted as a video, or it can be just a prompt that's posted on Canvas that you'll write a small paragraph for, right? I'll give you direction on where to post that. Usually it's in Canvas, sometimes it's in Discord, but most of the time it's through Canvas. And because this is a way that I take attendance, there are no late work on these participation questions. It is due, and once it is once a due date is over, it is closed, and there's no opportunity to make up these participation questions, specifically because it is how I take attendance. So unfortunately, there is no late work on that, but I'm letting you know this now so that you can make sure you're getting them done. Now, participation questions are worth 25% of your grade. So these are an important one. Missing 1, maybe 2, not a big deal, but missing more than that can really start to drastically affect your percentage in this class and how you do. So, and then I have a little first week checklist on what you need to do. Now, the first week checklist is only going to be on this first homepage. The homepage will change after a week. I will remove this information and put new information up that will stay the rest of the semester. But a couple things that will not change are the sidebar here, where it shows your menu through navigating through the class, and as well as your to-do list over here on the right hand side, which will show upcoming assignments, which you guys already have a few, and I will move to talk to these in a second. But let's go move to the announcements tab. And the announcements tab is where I'm going to obviously give announcements to you guys. If there's any changes made to how I'm doing things, or maybe there's some important information that I need to relay, or just general information or check-in with everyone, to see how everyone's doing. I will post them here in the announcements. It's great to check these every single time that you come into the class on Canvas, to just go to your announcements, make sure there's nothing new there. You should get an email if there's a new announcement, but in case you don't check your email very frequently, I highly, highly, highly recommend you go here to announcements, because it will be full of important information for you. So, if you're always wondering, what's happening right now, why is this different, check your announcements. I should have things up. If we go to modules, this is where your coursework lives, and your videos for the class as well. So what you will see are multiple tabs. Under the class videos tab in the online participation student question tab, there is nothing published yet under these, so you're not going to see anything. But under the coursework module, there are a handful of things already posted for you. This is where you will come and find information on your projects. Also in class videos is where you will see links to the actual lectures themselves. I usually always post it up on YouTube, and then I also will link it over here inside of Canvas for those of you who don't want to navigate to YouTube every single time. So, important to check these out. Online participation questions will be at the very bottom. Again, they will be weekly, so make sure you're checking those. The first one here, the first coursework module, is one about file structure. Now, in this class, it is very easy to become disorganized, right? So we want to work on the organization skills in the very beginning so that we're not working backwards once we've learned all this information and all these new skills and software that you'll be working in. And so it's really important to stay organized and tidy in the beginning. And so what I do is I have a video here where I go over naming conventions and file structure for projects. Now, if this is a little bit too in-depth for you, by all means do something that's a little bit easier for your needs. But in the meantime, this is a great start, and you can go ahead and download the template folder that I work along with here on the video. You can just click this little arrow right here and it will show you, or I'm sorry, it will download this to your download folder, and you can kind of follow along. Now, this class is obviously a digital course, right? So if you do not have any experience in computers, it's highly recommended that you withdraw from the class. Right now, this is a very intense type of software that we're going to be working in, very heavy, lots of information, lots of tools to use. And so if you're not very comfortable working on a computer, then maybe we need to take a step back to move forward. And, you know, rethink if this class is right for you at this moment. Now, you should know things basic like this file structure, how to download and upload files, how to unzip folders, so on and so forth. So, you know, if you don't know that information, either buff up on it or consider taking this class at another time, at a different date. The GCC Animation YouTube channel is just a link. If you click on that, it'll be a link to the YouTube channel where I post everything. The quiz syllabus, the acknowledgement quiz, all of this, the only thing this is a yes or no question. So it's very easy. Take the quiz. If it is due Friday by midnight, if you do not have it done by Friday at midnight, I have to withdraw you from the course. This is a requirement by GCC that's been implemented for the last year, that you guys have to acknowledge that you've read and understood the syllabus in order to proceed forward with the class. So take this. I'm not going to be coddling you guys in this course. I'm not going to be holding your hand, walking you through doing everything. That is, you know, you guys are adults and you can manage and take care of your tasks on your own. So if you don't do this and you're just dropped from the course, that is likely why, right? So make sure that you're keeping up to date on what's due, when it's due, and making sure that you're reading exactly what you need to have. Will my computer work for this class? Again, it is like the front page, but a little bit more information, or a little more information on how to find your GPU if you're using a Mac. And then also a location to request a rental if needed. The technology login challenge. This is very important. Also due by Friday. This is going to introduce you guys to the software that we will be using, and it tells you how to download it and get it ready for class. So there's a handful of different things that we use in this course, and I want to make sure that you're able to download this software, have it ready, take a screenshot. And so this is basically what this assignment is just challenging you to prep for the course and making sure you have all of your software downloaded, and proving that by showing images, and then also interacting with the class in one way. So the first one's Miro. This is for note taking and whiteboarding. Basically, it's a great idea to like plan. It's a great planning software. It is free. There are paid options for it. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but I do post some notes in there sometime, and I will have a link to the notes that I have here for next week after our first week of class. OBS, what I am using right now is an open broadcast system. It is used for screen recording or recording video. Please download the appropriate version for your computer, and if you need to watch like a how-to video on how to use this, I would check on YouTube and just like a quick tutorial on how to navigate and use OBS. It's kind of daunting when you open it up at first because you see like a mirroring of your screen, and it's kind of an infinite thing. But I promise you, once you figure it out, it is very easy to use. Next, software. The primary way we communicate with classmates and with me is through Discord. This is a step-by-step on how to use Discord. You're going to want to download the app for your desktop, and then you're going to want to follow these instructions and sign up for the AVC online only introduction to animation course. Okay, that is important for you guys to be able to I believe if I click here, this can take us to it, but this is a big one. It's an invalid invite. I'll have to update that. So that's new for you guys, because it's probably old from last semester. So I'll update that link there. But you want to download the desktop app first and then follow through on the rest of this. And once you have it downloaded and you're in the class channel, I want you to introduce yourself and follow these prompts right here in order to introduce yourself inside of Discord, and then taking screenshots of your introduction and comments. Screenshots. If you haven't watched this tutorial, taking screen captures, do this. Click this blue link right here and it will take you to a little tutorial on how to do that. Adobe Creative Cloud is the primary software that we will be using for this course. Mostly After Effects, a little bit of Animate, some Audition, Illustrator, Photoshop, Media Encoder. All of these are included with the Creative Cloud app, right? It's a bundle, essentially. And this is included with your student ID. You do not have to pay for it. You get a free version of it. Now, in order to get that, you have to use your Maricopa MEID information. Please follow these tutorials here, and it'll show you how to download and install and sign up for this. If you're having any issues, contact the GCC help desk, not Adobe support. Adobe support will not be helpful for this. This would be something that we need to do through the school, and so you want to make sure you're contacting this phone number, this 623 phone number, in order to mitigate any issues that you're having. And then what you want to do is you want to download this list of software that's on there, and you're going to take a screenshot of the actual app that is the Adobe Creative Cloud app, and it'll just show next to it that it'll say open next to everything, and that shows that it's been downloaded and ready to go. Blender, a 3D program that's open source as well, so you don't need to pay, you don't need an educational license, none of that. It is free for use for the public, and it's really gotten powerful since it first started. Now, if you follow this link, it tells you how to download the most latest version of Blender, so you want to make sure you are up to date of that. And if you just take a screenshot of Blender, the Blender like screen, the opening screen when it opens, and I'll be able to see that you've downloaded it and that you're able to open it okay. So deliverable, what you need to turn in, a PDF file. Most of you should know what a PDF is, with screenshots of the following: your introduction in Discord with your 3 responses to other students, a screenshot of Blender showing the software is installed and ready, and also a screenshot of Adobe Creative Cloud app showing that the rest of the software is installed. So that is your technology login challenge. It shouldn't be too difficult. The hardest one that was on here was Cinema 4D, and we have since not used that since Blender has gotten so much better. And so This is what you will be focusing on for the next few days. I usually will post videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If that changes, I will let you know that in the announcements. But in general, on Tuesdays is when you will have a lecture, and on Thursdays is when you will have a review of your work. And so uh, it's important to especially watch. I mean, obviously the lectures when you can, but if you can join if I do a live stream, which I will let you know when I do when I hold a live stream, I will let you know through the announcements tab ahead of time if I'm going to do that. And that way you can join and ask any questions while we are in the live stream. Other than that, what I'll do most of the time is I record a video with the feedback for everyone as a class video so you can see other students' work as well and also see maybe what mistakes or where other students thrive. That way you can absorb that information and utilize it for your projects as well, right? Because we're not all going to run into the same issues, but a lot of the times we do. And so it's important to just kind of review and make sure you're watching everyone's feedback and critiques because it helps in the learning process for everyone. So don't really skip over anyone else's stuff. Now, if we finally come over here, we don't have to worry about studio or course analytics, not a big deal. Grades is obvious, right? As far as the grades in the class go, projects are worth 75%. Questions are worth 20. Actually, that's opposite. I have to fix this, but it'll show in the syllabus. Projects are worth 50%. Your final portfolio is worth 25% of your grade. So very, very important that you have that in. And then the participation questions are also 25%. And so that is how the grades accumulate. I guess I could leave it like this because the assignments, the projects, this also includes the real in here. So yeah, let me jump over to the syllabus now, and then I will let you guys go to start your first assignments. I am just going to click on this here. We're going to go over some of the things we already talked about, but I definitely want to touch base on here. If you are looking up at your class code and it does not match 19428, then you are in the wrong class. I don't know how that could happen, but if so, let me know right away and we'll figure out where you should be. Aside from that, again, my name is Amanda McCara. I do not hold class hours since I do not have an office at the school, but I do hold virtual meetings through Google Meet if needed. So you'll want to follow this link. You'll want to ask me through Discord, or you can email me. Again, my email is right down here in the syllabus, amanda.mccara@gccaz.edu. You can either email me or select a time here for us to have a virtual meeting so we can discuss or go over anything. Again, I don't hold office hours. There are exceptions, case by case basis, or I can direct you guys to Dr. Casey Farina, who's the director of the program. So again, email address is right there. This is an online course. It is not live at all. And again, in order to take the attendance for the class, we have the participation questions. So I want you to look over this. The credit hours for this course are 3 hours, so it is a lecture lab class. Hence why the lectures tend to be a little bit longer. If you need to break the lecture up into sections to watch and get your project done in parts, then that is fine. You do what is best for your learning style. I'm not going to tell you what you need to do, but I will recommend taking notes, and we'll go over that once we get to the required materials for the course. But note taking, knowing when you need to take a break because tired work is not great work, but also making sure you're carving out enough time to work on your projects. Very important. Class starts today and ends the 19th. Obviously, we're not going to have class on like Thanksgiving or any other like usually Halloween don't off have classes or anything like that then either. But because this is an online class and you can take the times anytime you want, that's not really applicable to here. So I will still end up posting lectures around the same time. I'll just make sure things aren't due on holiday days. End of the course is December 19th, 2025. No work will be accepted after 6 p.m. 6 p.m. on the 19th of December is when your final portfolio is due. After that, there is no late work at all. This is the final stamp and seal to your grade. So you want to make sure that you are getting that final portfolio in and not not waiting until the last minute. It says on here 10 to 20 hours per week on this course. Usually it's around more on the lower end, 10 to 12 hours, I would say, considering the lecture and then the work that you have to do outside of that to create your projects. 20 hours is obviously the max, and that's not average and not very normal, but I just put a range on here so that you're aware you have to carve out a significant chunk of time out of your week to work on this course. Again, there is no final exam for this course, rather like your submission of your portfolio. So if there's any changes, I will let you guys know right away within the announcements tab. Course description, I believe you guys all read this. We're going to be talking about animation, using the computer to animate, timing, keyframes, all those kinds of things. So I don't expect you to know all of these terms right away, but you will learn them as we go through the course. Same with course competencies. Things that you will learn to do are right here, so I suggest that you read through them so you're aware of the type of skills you should come out of this course with. There are no textbooks for this class because everything's digital. If I need to share it with you, I'll share it like with a link or something. Usually it'd be like a YouTube link or a reference to somewhere else. So you'll usually get that in that form. Now, I recommend some kind of note-taking device, whether it's an actual notebook with a pen and pencil, or you end up using like a tablet or an iPad to take digital notes. Either way, note-taking is really important. You're going to hear a lot of terminology in this course, so it's important to keep that information at hand so you remember things. An external hard drive is important to save all your work in one place. An external hard drive is just a mobile hard drive that you can take, so a mobile memory bank essentially, that you can take and move from one computer to the next and still have all of your saved information. If you do get an external hard drive, which I highly recommend because you will work on them if you end up in the digital field from here on out, I will recommend a solid state drive, which is an SSD external hard drive. That just means there's no actual moving parts within the hard drive itself, and so it's just a little bit more sturdier, a little safer, they run a little bit better versus the other type of hard drives which usually have moving parts on it. It has like a little disc on the inside that it writes information to. So you don't really have to have more than a terabyte. They've gotten much better as far as price. They've come down a lot in the last few years, so you should be able to get one with a decent amount of space for pretty cheap. You're going to need the computer with a dedicated graphics card. We already talked about this. Diversity and safe learning environment. We're going to, this is a safe learning environment for everyone. As individuals, we want to make sure that you have the best outcome and that you're very comfortable in this course. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can come to me right away. Attendance requirements, again, each week with a participation question. I'll let you guys read through that, but I already touched on it. Course policies, I'll let you guys read these as well. Actually, let me touch base on late work. I have in the past allowed late work beyond 1 week. I am no longer doing that. That power has been abused time and time again, and it always causes me to have to scramble at the end of the semester grading a ton of late work. So the rule is After 1 week from the due date, if the late work is not turned in, it will not be accepted. There is no exception. Um, Very rare, I guess, exception to that. But I want to see them turned in within a week. It will not get 100%. You will have points deducted, but any grade is better than no grade at all, right? So right away, if you're turning something in late, based on whatever type of work you end up turning in, whether it's bare minimum and you're going to have points taken off for just being the bare minimum, just trying to get it in, but you're already at a deficit, turning it in late, because you're already going to have points deducted from it. So making sure that you're staying on top of your projects is extremely important. If I do not hear from you or see any turned in work within 2 weeks, at any point in the semester, no communication, no check-in, nothing, you've just disappeared off the face of Canvas, it'll result in you being withdrawn from the course. And I have had to do that several times with students. So making sure that you're communicating with me and being transparent with me is all that I ask. I'm pretty chill. So, I just expect respect, and I'll return that respect for you. So please be more communicative than not. Basic technology needs, you're going to need internet, and you will also need, internet browsing software. You're going to need computer, access to Canvas, types of things like that. You'll have your email account. You want to, if you have any questions about using Canvas or have any issues, 24-hour support is provided for you guys. So make sure that you refer to your syllabus here if you are running into any issues. The technology help at GCC, if you need to go in, you can go in here at this location in the High Tech 1 building, and you can ask for help that way. The online technologies that we use, obviously, student email, Google Drive, you'll use that to maybe write documents and stuff like that. Maricopa Canvas, YouTube, Vimeo, Miro, GitHub. GitHub we don't really use that often. Vimeo we usually only use to post your final project on, but not final project, but your final portfolio. Now, I think I skimmed over something real quick, and I want to touch base back on it. Let me check. What I was wanting to say is that there is no final test. There is no final exam for this class. In fact, you don't have any tests at all in this course. It is strictly a project-based course. So at the end of the semester, when you get your final portfolio turned in, it will have a collection of all of your other projects from the semester. So making sure that you have those turned in is really important to get a passing grade on your final exam, or I keep wanting to say final exam, but your final project, which is your portfolio, right? So again, I can't stress enough, make sure you're staying on top of your work and turning it in. If I go down here, this talks about the software that we'll use in the class. Of course, Adobe Creative Cloud, which I've touched on, Blender, GitHub, like I said, rarely do we ever use that. OBS, Open Broadcast software. I'm going to try and introduce a little bit of Procreate Dreams for you in this class when we talk about frame-by-frame animation. Now, it is not required that you have an iPad, because Procreate is for the iPad specifically. That is not a requirement. You don't have to go out and buy an iPad. You don't have to go out and buy the app if you don't want to. You, in fact, get a frame-by-frame software within the Adobe suite. It is called Adobe Animate. It used to be Adobe Flash, but it is a free frame-by-frame animation software. So you can always use that, and I will show you a lecture on how to use that software as well, in case that's what you're using. But I just wanted to say, by chance, if you have an iPad at home, it's usually a little bit easier to use, like your pen, with a hand-by-hand or frame-by-frame animation, right? Because you're drawing. So I was going to jump into Procreate Dreams on there in case some of you do have this software or some of you do have an iPad. The software itself is only like $20, so it is an additional expense that you might have to shell out, but that's if you want the software. Again, you can use a free version using Adobe Animate, which is included in your student subscription. These are the terms and conditions of all of these softwares that we're going to be using. The grading standards, how we will grade, how you get your letter grade at the end of the semester. Your course outline is how the class is weighted, right? So projects, again, 50% of your grade. Final portfolio is 25%. Participation grades are 25%. Academic integrity, I don't think we have to talk about that. I think we understand. Another thing I want to discuss is plagiarism and AI. So plagiarism is clearly using someone's hard work and passing it off as your own, right? That is not what we do here in this course. It's not what we do in general at all. It's not a good thing. It doesn't reflect good on you if you're caught for plagiarism. So making sure that you're giving credit where credit is due. If it's an illustration that you didn't do, but you got from like Adobe stock, then not a big deal, right? You don't necessarily have to say that you got it from Adobe stock and all this stuff, but you do if someone were to ask you or something. You don't want to pass off work that you can't do as your own. So definitely just, mentioning that it is from Adobe stock or something, or assets like that. If you create your own assets, not a big deal. You don't have to do that. But plagiarism is a big thing. Please do not be stealing from other people's ideas. As far as AI goes, right? AI is a huge landscape in our field right now. And so let's learn to utilize it for our advantage. I have used ChatGPT to do things like help me write scripts, or help me organize my thoughts, or help me come up with ideas. You more than welcome to use ChatGPT for that purpose. You can also use some kind of imaging AI software if you can. But with that being said, you have to remember that we are going to dissect an image part by part, right? So you're going to want to have access to different layers, and AI might not be the best option for that. We do share class projects online. So people will be seeing them, and they will be critiqued in person. So making sure that if you don't want someone to see something, maybe rethinking about including it in your project. With that being said, controversial content does come up every once in a while. Very frequently, or I'm sorry, it does not happen frequently. I have had it happen a couple times when it comes to dispersing information via an animated video. So it was like a statistic, and that can be, that's different, right? It seems controversial. It might not be a topic that you want to hear about, but as long as it's appropriate to whatever the project is, then that is okay. Use your best judgment, okay? If it's something that you wouldn't want your parents seeing or your friends seeing or getting out into social media, then don't, use appropriate judgment there. Student rights and responsibilities. Here's the student handbook and the academic catalog. I implore you to look at those. Classroom accommodations for students with disabilities. So the DRS office will help with resources with that, and they coordinate with me, and I coordinate with you to find any type of balance that we can in coming up with a different strategy for you to be successful. So if you are in need of accommodations for any disabilities, please contact DRS and we will get those addressed. Sexual harassment, domestic violence, dating violence, stalking, all very real things, all very unacceptable things. If you feel uncomfortable in any way, please notify me immediately, and I will take the proper steps to start the process to address the scenario. So if that happens, please let me know. Basic needs as well. If you need food, housing, transportation, anything like that, please follow this link to student basic needs. Student life page, you can follow here for more information. The rest of it is pretty straightforward, right? COVID-19, not as big of a deal because we're online, but if you're feeling sick, just stay home. So that is the end of the syllabus. I think that you should download this and have this handy, or maybe within that external hard drive if you do end up getting one, so that you can reference it at any point and ask me any questions you need to, or have the resources available for you if you are having any issues with anything. So that's just a quick overview of the class and how to navigate Canvas. I will be posting the next video I'll be posting. We'll be talking about software and navigating software. It won't be until later this week. So, but once I have that posted up, I will let you guys know. Other than that, let's create some fun stuff. Let's have a good time in this class. I'm excited to see your creativity and look forward to see all the videos you guys make for the semester. Have a good day.